I put up a video a few minutes ago talking about my apology to Black Patriot. I touched on something. I want to expand on it now. I talked about how we, our government in this country has declared a war on crime and a war on drugs and a war on terrorism. We've lost the war on crime. We've lost the war on drugs. We haven't lost it, but we're losing it. And, you know, uh, I'm sitting here looking at some of these young people out here in the world, and they are, don't get me wrong, I smoke my weed, drink my alcohol. Speaking of which, smoke my cigarettes. Speaking of which, got a little bit right here. Yeah, want something nice with a flavor to it. Anyway, so, and all this abstract declaring war on shit, we basically lost. So, here's my thing. The preppers, survivalists, people preparing for the end of the world, people preparing for major catastrophes, whatever. Guys on internet forums. That'll work. Uh, Here's the thing about it. Don't be so quick to declare war on the unprepared. I mean, granted, I'll tell you flat out, not preparing for hardship is stupid. Stupidity can get you killed. And I'm all for the whole you reap what you sow. But here's the thing about it. Hiding your supplies, not letting other people know, maintaining OPSEC, operational security, all that's important. All that's good. All that shit you should be doing. As YouTube preppers, we're basically fucked because everybody knows we got shit. A great deal of my friends are planning to come to my house if something bad happens, like I'm the welfare system, or the end of the world welfare system. That ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna tell them to kick rocks. If you can't actively take part in preparing for hardship and dealing with problems in your life, don't come to me. Bad planning on your part doesn't necessarily facilitate an emergency on mine. Now, all that being said, don't declare war. Zombie survival movies have kind of sparked this idea that people are referring to the unprepared as zombies. This idea that these hordes of unprepared people are going to come banging in their doors, beating in their doors, trying to steal your shit. Here's the thing about it. That's not very likely. Most likely, they're going to come to your door whining and crying, please take care of me, I'm your friend, we're like brothers, blah, blah, blah. They're going to pull on your heartstrings. And if you're a good person, you're going to say, fuck it, and you're going to try and help them out. The problem is, people who won't help themselves before an emergency, when everything's easy, sure as hell aren't going to help themselves during an emergency when everything's not easy. So you're just going to learn to use the word no. Now, I realize this can escalate and perform all kinds of issues and everything. But here's what I'm going to explain to you. If you go dehumanizing these people, referring to them as MBZs, zombies, whatever, MBZ stands for mutant biker zombie. If you start looking at these people as the enemy, you create this us versus them mentality. What happens is you tend to isolate yourself. So you cut yourself off from everyone else. Yes, you have your preps, you have your stuff to help you survive, Armageddon. But you cut yourself off from intelligence. You cut yourself off from people who know things, who can help you. You cut yourself off from other preppers, neighbors, people in your environment. And you have to realize something here. I'm a martial artist. I'm a martial arts instructor, actually. And I teach 5 ranges of combat. That's right, 5. Most martial arts schools, you only come into contact with 1 or 2, and very few, most of the ones who, well, I won't say very few, but about a quarter of what's out there teaches you to fight at 3 ranges of combat, which is Striking range, punching and kicking. Infighting range, which is where knees, elbows, throws, takedowns, standing joint locks, and grappling come in. And like the grappling, ground fighting, wrestling range, if you will. Now, here's the problem. That excludes two ranges of combat. Now, I'm addressing these two ranges of combat because they still apply no matter what. When you're talking about your defenses, your ability to defend yourself and your family, you have to look at the idea that there are uh, five ranges that you have to be able to deal with. The first range isn't striking range, it's the internal range, the psychological range, the mental range, what's up here. If I can get in your head, if I can mess with your head, and I know I can because I've done this to other people before, I can get in your head and just completely ruin your life. I can make you doubt yourself. I can, you know, make you paranoid and isolate yourself from everyone else around you. That's the worst thing in the world to do. Don't isolate yourself. Don't be paranoid. I've always been somewhat of a loner, so isolation doesn't bother me. Being by myself doesn't bother me. Being around idiots bothers me. Anyway, uh, what I'm talking about comes down to this. Now, first and foremost, you have that internal range. Now, that internal range deals a lot with socializing and getting into people's heads and shit like that. Uh, when you've reached that point of uh, that mental awareness, that effectiveness of you know judging, rationalizing, thinking. If you can mess with somebody's train of thought, mess with their planning, their thought processes, you've basically already won the war. Sorry. And your fifth range is a weapons range. Weapons range is a range which can only be reached with a weapon, a tool of some kind. Doesn't matter if you're talking a sniper rifle or a cruise missile or a spear or a katana or a baseball bat. It's that range which extends beyond the natural reach of your body. Um, a lot of times you can apply weapons, smaller weapons like knives and stuff, at the other three ranges of combat. So that's a side note. But when you declare war on something, you create this us versus them mentality. It's my side versus their side. And usually in war, you tend to have this idea of total war in which one side only wins when the other side is completely gone. Um, I Here's the problem. When you start declaring war on things, when you start dehumanizing people and alienating yourself from these people and everything else, you create a whole other cluster fuck of problems. First of all, I don't care who you are, friends help. If you don't have friends, you can have all the food, ammo, water, all the supplies in the world. You can live in a fortress, but if you aren't around other people, especially because humans are social animals, you develop a lot of problems. A lot of things come your way, and it's just not cool. Uh, the other thing to it is this. If you have a friend, we'll call him Bob, and Bob lives 3 blocks over from me. Now, me and Bob both have CBs. And having CBs, me and Bob both occasionally communicate. When I see something going on in my area, I let him know. When he sees something going on in his area, he lets me know. And now there's people in my area that I communicate with that bring me information, that give me information, and give me a heads up about what's going on in my area. Not just the fact that I'm sitting in my house waiting for people to come tell me. I'm walking around, seeing things, involved in things. I don't have to really necessarily get involved in other people's arguments and drama and conflicts, but I get to see what's going on with other people and find things out and just, you know. Well, Bob's doing the same thing I'm doing. And me and Bob are communicating through distance with the CB. Now, at the same time, I have another friend off, we'll say about 2 miles away, communicating with me through a CB as well. I doubt you'd actually get like 2 miles. Obviously. Anyway, now he's 2 miles away to my west, and Bob is, a block ahead or 2 blocks ahead of me to my north, and I got a guy at my south and a guy at uh, uh, my east or my west, and I have these people around me in 365 degrees that I'm communicating with. It's giving me information. I'm giving them information. We're working things out. Now, my guy who's 2 miles away to, I guess it'd be my east since I'm using my right hand. The guy who's 2 miles away to my east, he tells me, "Hey, you know, we've seen some roving gangs of people, heavily armed, a bunch of gun preppers, loaded head to toe with weaponry, and they're coming by and trying to raid people's houses. And there's been a couple firefights and stuff like that." Well, what that means is I get on my CB and I'm like, Bob, uh, Carl, Randy, whatever random names I want to give these people. Hey, guys, my friend, 2 miles to my east, told me there's these roving gangs of gun preppers with all these guns, and they're shooting and breaking into people's houses, and they're basically a threat. He gave me a heads up. Apparently, somebody got shot out there, so I want to give you guys the heads up. Okay, that's cool. Now, Bob, who's only 2, 3 blocks north of me, has another friend that's a couple miles further north. And he's telling them, hey, everything's cool, everything's great up here. There's extra deer that's came through the area, or we have like an abundance of wild boar that's coming into the area. We don't know what's pushing them into the area, but they're all coming in. So a lot of people are out there hunting and poaching, and they're pulling in all this extra meat. Then at the same time, this guy finds out what's pushing the animals towards him that everybody's loving so much was a forest fire. And they couldn't see the forest fire of a day because it was daylight. They didn't really see the smoke. And then as it got closer and into this valley or whatever close by, they started seeing the smoke. And then when the sun went down, they started seeing the lights from the forest fire and seeing it spread and move. So they sent a couple guys up there. They see what's going on. They come back. Well, he's going to tell Bob. Bob's going to tell me. Because I'm out here socializing with people, not declaring anyone my enemy, unless they actually present an active threat to me, then I'm fine. More point to the fact, because I'm not really isolating myself from the community, and I'm passing this information on to other people in the community to give them an idea, to help them, have a heads up as to what's going on. It doesn't replace the internet and anything else, but I mean, hell, it's a hell of a lot better than Pony Express, right? What's happening is I'm collecting intelligence. I'm collecting information. I'm collecting knowledge of what's going on around me, current events, however you want to think of it. I'm not worried about, Mr. Smith cheating on Mrs. Smith with Mrs. Jones, and Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith being in a bar brawl, or being in a fist fight in the middle of the street. That doesn't concern me. That's pointless drama. What concerns me is the major things going around. Now, to where the Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith issue comes in at is when that roving gang of gun-toting troublemakers comes to my area, and we can't really do anything to secure the area because those two are being assholes and arguing and trying to set each other up for failure. That's where the problem comes in at. But my ability to socialize with everyone else in my environment, even the people who are unprepared, instead of declaring them the enemy, just declaring them dumbasses, pretty much gives me a situation to work from. And in the case of some of these people, I might help them. My aid will be very restrictive because I'm not going to dump all of the stuff I've spent my entire life collecting and prepping for to watch these guys basically just come in, gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm not the, Armageddon welfare program. However, I might help these guys out. A little bit of food, hey, you know, I'll give you a box of mainstay bars, which will feed you for a month if you know you help me put up help me nab alternators out of cars in a junkyard, so we can build a wind generator to power my little CB radio, so I can keep in touch with my people at a distance. Sounds like a fair enough trade. You can use it for bartering to people who are unprepared. Hey, I mean, it sounds almost horrible to say this. It sounds almost like I'm talking about slave labor, but in a way it's not. It's called economics. No work, no eat. I worked, I prepped, I stocked up, I stored things, I was prepared, and therefore I get to set a price. If you don't want a month's worth of food for a couple of days worth of work, that's on you. If you want me to give you a month's worth of food and then you take off without doing work, no, your ass is staying here with me and you're working. Then I'll pay you and you'll be off. I might even give you a meal. I might even break off some of what I'm going to pay you anyway. But regardless, that's what it comes down to. And the fact that you're socializing with other people means you can barter, you can, help people out, do a little bit of labor, whatever. And you're not necessarily sitting around, all day with your gun, scared that somebody's going to come through the door and steal your preps. You haven't declared war on everyone else on the outside world, and you're trapped in your own paranoid reality where everyone's coming to get you. You're out socializing, you're out dealing with people. It helps you blow off stress, helps you relax a little bit, Uh, just because there's the end of the world doesn't mean there's not going to be guys out there looking for a nice girl, or a nice girl out there looking for a nice guy. It basically, it's like this: when you declare war on a group of people, whether it's you're declaring war on someone because of the color of their skin, the uniform they wear, uh, their lifestyle, even in a non catastrophic event, even in a non uh, shit hits the fan situation, you're still isolating yourself from these people. And these people might be people who can help you. They might be people who can give you information. They might just be the people who, uh, might save your life one day. When you start deciding it's us preppers against you unprepared, you run into this situation. What happens if you were a prepper, you prepped, you prepared, you put up stocks of food and everything else? You put stuff in 50-gallon buckets, not 50-gallon buckets, 50-gallon barrels, 5-gallon buckets, buried them out in the woods. You had your little supply caches. End of the world scenario hits, and it doesn't even have to be a total end of the world scenario. I mean, Katrina was an end of the world as we know it scenario because of the amount of change it created. For a lot of people, it did in their world, at least their world in New Orleans and with their family as they knew it. And what's going to happen is it basically comes down to this. Uh, when these things hit, somebody might find your caches. They might dig them up and take off with them. Your house might burn down, and you're sitting there with 4 days worth of food and a 22 pistol, and sitting there wondering, what am I going to do? And if you don't have friends that you can go to, if you don't have people who you've helped in the past, who you can at least say, look, dude, you owe me. You gotta hook me up with something, like throw me a blanket and a pillow and a spot on the floor or something. You know, uh, you're gonna put yourself in a position to where you're basically just gonna isolate yourself from the rest of the world and sit around saying, oh, they're coming to get me. They're coming to get me, and that's not healthy for you psychologically, socially, or really physically. Um, I guess, yeah, I'm done.